Hey there, science enthusiasts. Welcome to Science by Aarif, where we tackle the mind-boggling question. Is water actually wet? I'm Aarif, your guide to unraveling the mysteries of the everyday. Subscribe, hit the bell, and let's dive into this together. Unveiling the enigma, is water truly wet? Water is an element so integral to our lives that we often take its properties for granted. One intriguing question that has sparked curiosity and debate is whether water itself can be deemed wet. At first glance, this might appear to be a straightforward inquiry, but delving into the nature of water and the definition of wet leads us down a fascinating rabbit hole. Understanding wetness. To unravel the mystery, we must first comprehend the concept of wetness. Traditionally, we define something as wet when it is covered or saturated with liquid. Applying this definition to water might seem paradoxical, as water is the very substance we associate with wetness. However, breaking down the definition can offer insights into the question at hand. Wetness typically implies the presence of a liquid on a surface. When we say an object is wet, we mean that it has come into contact with a liquid, resulting in a change in its state. In the case of water, this seems to create a circular argument. How can water be wet when it is the essence of wetness itself? The scientific perspective. From a scientific standpoint, water is not inherently wet. Instead, it is the cause of wetness in other substances. The wetness we perceive is a result of water molecules adhering to a surface. When water molecules interact with other materials, they create a layer that changes the texture and properties of those materials, making them feel wet to the touch. Consider a dry sponge. When water is introduced, the sponge absorbs it, and the water molecules adhere to the sponge's surface, altering its state from dry to wet. This illustrates that water, in its pure form, does not conform to the traditional definition of wetness until it interacts with another material. The linguistic conundrum. The debate on whether water is wet extends into the linguistic realm. Language, as a human construct, can sometimes blur the lines between scientific precision and common usage. In everyday conversation, people might casually say that water is wet, drawing from a collective understanding that water feels wet when we touch it. In this context, the term wet is used more as an experiential descriptor rather than a strict scientific classification. It reflects how humans perceive and interact with water in their daily lives, emphasizing the subjective nature of language and communication. Water's dual nature. To add complexity to the discussion, water exhibits a dual nature. It can simultaneously be a liquid and a solid. In its liquid state, water is the quintessential wet substance, adhering to surfaces and altering their properties. However, in its solid state, ice water takes on a different form, challenging our conventional understanding of wetness. Ice is not traditionally considered wet, yet it is composed of the same molecules as liquid water. The distinction lies in the arrangement of these molecules. In ice, water molecules are structured in a rigid pattern, reducing their ability to adhere to surfaces and create the sensation of wetness. Wetness as a sensation. Beyond the scientific and linguistic aspects, the perception of wetness is fundamentally a sensory experience. When we touch water, our nerve endings detect the presence of a liquid, sending signals to our brain that we interpret as wetness. This subjective experience further blurs the line between the intrinsic nature of water and our perception of it. In essence, water can be seen as a facilitator of wetness rather than possessing inherent wetness itself. It acts as a medium that transforms the state of other materials, giving rise to the sensation of wetness that we commonly associate with it. Cultural and philosophical reflections. Cultural and philosophical perspectives also contribute to the discourse on whether water is truly wet. In certain cultures, water holds symbolic significance, representing purity, life, and renewal. These symbolic associations can influence how people perceive and describe water, sometimes transcending the confines of scientific definitions. Philosophically, the question invites contemplation on the nature of reality and language. It prompts us to question the validity of our perceptions in the language we use to describe the world around us. Is water wet because we say it is, or does it possess an inherent quality that defines its wetness? Conclusion. Navigating the depths. In conclusion, the question of whether water is actually wet is a multifaceted inquiry that intertwines scientific principles, linguistic nuances, sensory experiences, and cultural perspectives. While water itself may not be wet in its pure form, it is undeniably linked to the sensation of wetness through its interactions with other materials. The exploration of this enigma serves as a reminder of the intricacies embedded in seemingly simple questions. It encourages us to appreciate the complexities of the world we inhabit, challenging our perceptions and expanding our understanding of fundamental concepts. So, is water truly wet? The answer lies not only in the realm of scientific analysis but also in the subjective and cultural dimensions that shape our understanding of this essential element. As we navigate the depths of this question, we find that the essence of water's wetness is as fluid and dynamic as the substance itself. And that's a wrap, folks. If you enjoyed our journey into the wet world of water, hit like, share, and subscribe for more intriguing science. Got questions or topics you want us to explore? Drop them in the comments. Stay curious, and see you on the next scientific adventure at Science by Aarif.